Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power, and coming up next on The Sound of Tomorrow on WAYOLP Rochester, we're going to be talking about some legal stuff, and we're going to be talking about some health stuff. But first,
Heather, I'm so glad you're here. I have got something very exciting to share with you.
ooh, tales of debauchery from your big St. Patty's Day weekend rager that you didn't invite me to.
No, not at all. And St. Patty's Day weekend?
It's a thing. Wearing of the green, my friend. Drinking of the green beer.
Oh my God, please tell me you did not spend the weekend drinking green beer.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm allergic to that kind of food coloring, and everyone knows St. Patrick's is for amateurs. No way I'm at a bar on that of all days. You need me? I'm home with the cat.
Ah, yes. Like Arior of the days. Yep.
You got it. So, anyway, no, I was only kidding. What is it you're excited to share with me?
Oh my God, as you know, I have been working on my writing for the last few years, trying this and that, honing my craft.
Expropriating my name and likeness for absolutely every genre you try on.
You got it. You're my muse, and this project I want to share with you is no different.
Oh, boy.
What?
I said, oh, boy.
Much better. You're still trying to be supportive of me, remember? Constructive criticism only, and no just tearing into me.
I know. So does that mean I should refrain from complaining about how much you pay to be a member of your lithe and lissom romance novel writing forum?
Yes, because, for one thing, I've been working on, I didn't even ask around on Lithe Lissom. For this one, the only inspiration I needed was you.
Wow! Really? So we don't need to go through the names of the authors you're working with of whom I've never heard?
Okay, well, I note your quotation finger is around authors, and they happen to be legitimate authors. But yes,
Sure.
that's right. So a few things you brought up recently really, I gotta say, lit a fire under my butt and got my, my creative juices flowing, if you know what I mean.
Ew. But wow, you remembered a thing I said?
Amazing, right? You're actually kind of interesting when I bother to listen to you.
Thanks.
Anytime.
Huh. But I'm actually intrigued. Like, what did I say?
Okay, well, remember a few weeks ago you were talking about VC Andrews, right?
Ah, so we're looking at a VC Andrews ripoff here, huh?
Hey!
Sorry.
And no, I still haven't read any of her work, but what I know of it, or think I know of it, has made its way into this piece.
I guess that's one way to not plagiarize. So, mean moms and incest.
Exactly! And then last week, you told me you're learning tarot.
I still am.
So, Heather, may I present to you the beginning of my latest novel. Heather Zykowski, Fortuneteller.
Huh. This could actually be good.
Don't sound so surprised.
Well, let's hear it. I actually do have all day, but I want to hear this fortune teller stuff.
All right. The crispin air of eventide hung still and clear over the quaint village of Penfield, New York, as the denizens bustled, brimming with excitement and possibility, for verily it had arrived. The occasion of Ye Old Town Penfield Fair. Beams from the waxing gibbous shone forth, adding her mystical rays to the flames of the countless braziers placed sporadically through the public square, and colorful tents, kiosks, booths, and stands teemed with sellers hawking wares of turkey legs, novelty t-shirts, trays of generic artwork, and cheap silver rings, and also handcrafted signs with sayings like, "Welcome to my man cave." That, who buys those anyway? The cloying scent of sugar waffles, fresh lemonade, and spicy mulled cider permeated the night.
Okay, wait. I was with you until the welcome to my man cave thing, and like lemonade and hot cider at the fair. What time of year is this? And like, what year?
Okay, that's actually kind of helpful feedback. I was actually just kind of really thirsty when I wrote this, so.
Yeah, so scrap the lemonade and just go with fall?
Yes, that is good. Okay, I am making that note.
And the man cave signs.
No, that stays. I mean, really, like, who buys those?
That is a good point. No clue. Okay. Sorry to interrupt. I'm good. It's autumn. Got it.
Sure. Yes, autumn. Okay, making a note on that too.
You didn't already know?
Writing is a process, Heather.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go on then.
Thank you. Obscured by the hubbub of the roiling masses, a muted kerfuffle was taking place at the back of a colorful yet worn, peaked-topped tent, striped red and white and adorned with a small golden flaglet.
Flaglet.
Shh. Flaglet, yes, it's a small flag.
But you already said it was small.
Shh. Located toward the fringes of the merry festiment, bearing a placard reading, Heather Zykowski, Fortuneteller. A palpable tension radiated outward from beyond the beaded curtain. You will wear it and you will like it, hissed Mother Zykowski to her daughter, the raven-locked beauty, Heather Zykowski, she of deepest merit eye and fulsome bosom. But I'm not Roma. It seems like appropriation, protested the girl. The strong, unyielding fingers of her mother's iron hand dug deep into the firm yet supple bicep of the lass. More coal! She insisted through clenched and gritted teeth. Fine, but I'm going to look like Steven Tyler with all these scarves, and I'm already having an allergic reaction to these fake gold earrings, petulantly venomed the younger. Ungrateful child! After all your father and I have sacrificed for you! Mother Zykowski's accent is a little precarious, just to be clear. Bankrupting ourselves to put you through that fancy school only for you to complete a useless English lit degree.
Hey, now my folks did sacrifice for me, and I'm eternally grateful that they put me through school at all. But A, it didn't bankrupt them, and 2, my English degree isn't useless.
It's not.
I could still write a paper, I think. Maybe. And I went to a SUNY. It wasn't like Yale or something.
Okay, yeah, nobody thought you went to Yale.
Hey!
And anyway, Heather, you're my muse, but I'm not trying to write your biography here. OMGP, how boring would that be?
How many times do I have to say, hey?
I have creative license, all right? You ever heard of it? This is my project.
You're exhausting. Just go on, I'm tired.
Ugh, and you look at you, poor thing.
What?
But the girl knew better. 'Twas not the fee for her education what had wrought the family's fall into misfortune. 'Twas indeed the greedy, grasping ways of her infernal mother, her insatiable desire for the finest of jewels, autocar machines, consumer-grade electronics, and cold-water lobster tails, had plunged the once noble, middle-class household into destitution. However, the demoiselle knew better than to say as much, having faced the wrath of her matriarch more times than she cared to remember. Instead, she tied upon her well-formed head yet another silken escarfment, and replied, "Yes, mother! Thank you, mother!" Fire flaring in her equally deep Marin eyes, Mother Zykowski smiled a flinty, stony smile. "Now read for the people, child, and read well!" Steeling herself, knowing what must be done, the daughter replied, "Yes, mother, I will." Mother Zykowski turned, squaring powerful, angry shoulders, and tread the paces toward the beaded curtain on long, shapely legs, the genes for which her daughter had not inherited, Heather Zykowski herself being quite short-legged. As she reached the curtain, Mother Zykowski turned. "Oh, and Heather!" She thinned her lips and smiled. "If you get hungry, I left you some donuts, powdered sugar, your favorite."
Oh, is that it?
For now, what do you think?
Actually, pretty good, I gotta say. I mean, only one, right? Mention of my breasts? Not bad. But I don't like donuts.
Oh, that was the VC Andrews bed.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yes. Yes. You're you're
I,
I don't know.
I
Oh,
I liked your voice work.
thank you. Thank you. Did you like how every character got a different accent on every single line?
Yeah, I loved it.
That's
Very SOT.
that is that's hard to do actually.
It is, yeah. Mixing it up like that versatility.
Hello everyone, I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co-host.
And I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power. Welcome back to the Sound of Tomorrow on WAYOLP Rochester.
We are proud to return to the airwaves once again.
Ross was recently on vacation at the Stratford Festival where he picked up a wee bit of an accent.
I was the star of the Stratford Festival, I'll have you know. Until they kicked me out.
And did they kick you out for doing too many different accents?
They did. They did. They said we can't possibly. You can't. Every line can't have a different accent. You have to pick an accent for a character. And I said that is for amateurs.
That's right. It is. Yeah,
I
you
like to
shouldn't have
switch
to
accent with.
choose.
I like to switch accent with every sentence.
I love it. I'm waiting for the next one.
Me too. Me too.
So back to American.
Hey Heather,
Hi.
what's going on?
It's a day.
Sure.
As I told you before we got on the air, I've been in one of those inexplicably cranky moods today.
Yes, that
Where
is rare.
I'm cranky and then I'm cranky with myself for being cranky. But I feel better because I'm talking to you now.
Oh, well, good. I have a way to get around that, to work through that.
Really? We're gonna work through my crankiness?
Yeah, well, no, it's just some advice.
Oh, okay.
And it's knock it off, or I will turn off your mic. So
No.
I want you to I want you to
See,
think about.
if you turn off my microphone, then you have to do all the talking for the next hour.
I don't. I'll probably just play a song.
Like
I'll
a
have to
really
find
long song.
really. It's a long song because we have like 45 minutes to go. But
We do.
I will. I don't know. I'll find something. I'll put on a movie. We can watch a movie. We can watch a safety video. I'm sure
We should watch more safety videos.
I'm sure there's a Wayo safety video I can pull up.
I bet there is somewhere. I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
When you were in high school, did you take driver's ed?
I did.
Did you have to watch those safety movies?
I don't remember. I don't know. I mean, I've seen safety videos, so I'll just say that I understand the genre if that's what you need to understand. But I don't know that if I specifically watched high school driving class safety videos. I don't think we had a classroom. I think we just got into a car and drove around.
We had the classroom and we had the getting into a car and driving around, for which I had to get up early on Saturday mornings. And one day this was a terrible day. It was like the day of the prom, and I had terrible period cramps. And so I was already like in bad shape. I was in a lot of pain, and I had to get up early and I had to go driving with the driver's ed teacher. And he had me like take the car to my house to drop me off last so that he could come inside and tell my parents I would never be a good driver.
Which, okay, sounds mean. Was he wrong? I mean,
yeah, I'm a very good driver, I will say.
Are you?
Cautious. Mm-hmm.
You are cautious.
Did I tell you I recently got little light glasses for driving?
No.
They make everything so much better. So I'm an even better driver now because I've got a little prescription. But no, so he was wrong. But the one thing I remember about the movies that we had to watch was one of them recommended that pretty much everything you did in your car, you give a friendly tap on the horn.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad I never adopted that, because I know I would find me to be much more annoying than I already am if just every single thing I went to do in my car, I was just like, honk, honk.
Yeah, there's definitely a yeah, that was some advice at some point, and I think they didn't count on how angry people are generally because it's really hard to give that friendly tap because you it's I mean it's a hair. It's a hair, it's not even a hair's breadth of pushing that button between like a friendly little honk and like a like an F you honk. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that is a that is a thing. But yeah, the friendly little honk, it's not. I mean, it's yeah. That was a thing that they somebody wanted to catch on at one point and it just never did. Somewhere I read, and I don't know if this is still in the thing. It's like Sweden or something. So I don't have data on this. So just don't go look it up if you care. But
Yeah, we didn't say
um,
we were going to talk about cars. This is just off the tops of our domes.
they instituted I think people got that actually. They instituted some sort of there's like a sorry light on the cars that's like and you can tap it and it's like I think this is a real thing. I might have just dreamed this, but I'm pretty sure this is a real thing. And you can tap the thing and it's like sorry. It might I think it says I actually did the voiceover work for it and it goes sorry.
Sorry.
um but in Swedish. So which seemed like a good idea because it's sort of like a
Yes.
because I we even us excellent drivers
Right.
occasionally we do something stupid or
I
like
do. Yeah, just every
or
once so
even if
often
it's
I'll be like, "That was a real jerk move I just pulled. I wish I hadn't have done that." But I did it, and now it's done.
yeah, or like even if it's not stupid, it's like you realize it looks you sort of got in someone's way when you didn't mean to or you didn't see something and maybe you couldn't have seen but like just all
Mhm.
those situations where like either you did something kind of dumb or you did something that is that someone else could so I like the idea of just a way to be like my bad. That was my bad, sorry.
Yep.
Because the best I don't think there's any driver so good that they never do stuff like that.
I I mean, I doubt it. I don't think I know anybody who's never, like, just accidentally cut someone off or something like that.
Yeah. Or you got a couple of bushes on either side and you're pulling out of the driveway and like you can't see, so you're
Right.
kind of guessing that there's nobody there, but then it turns out there is and you're like, "Oh, okay. I
Mhm.
didn't really have any way of seeing that, but I like it's still kind of my fault that I pulled out in front of you."
Yep, that happens all the time in my neighborhood, so I'm always really careful because I do back out of the driveway. I'm
Mhm.
really careful to go really, really, really slowly and then stop and look, but then you get into that awkward thing of, the person walking their dog is stopped and they're staring at you because they assume you're not going to stop, but then you stop, but then you make eye contact and then you're waving them on and they're waving you on. It gets so confusing.
And that's really awkward.
It
Yeah.
really, really,
It's
really
really
is.
uncomfortable for
And
everybody.
and it's too bad that it's so awkward because it's actually just people trying to be considerate. But I know I
Yeah.
was out taking a walk the other day. I will I'll freely admit it annoys me when the car doesn't stop and wave me on. I was walking down a street and this woman just she did not look to see if there was a pedestrian nearby at all. And there was me. I was right there. And she must have seen me. I'm I'm an adult human. I'm short, but nevertheless, I'm visible. She just kept going. Didn't like wave or shrug or anything. The little I'm sorry, like apologetic car shrug.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate that. Obviously nothing happened and I just like let her pull out of her driveway and I went on my merry way. But I mean, this was a couple days ago and I still remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the moral is Heather is keeping track, everybody. So Heather is keeping track.
Luckily, I'm very forgetful, so I can't remember which house it was.
I love that about you.
Yeah, it's great. So,
I think forgetfulness is a wonderful thing because as 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 vindictive and spiteful as I am,
yeah.
I mean, if I remembered everything perfectly, I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
Because
same. It's good. Yep.
because I remember, I'll wake up in the middle of the night mad about somebody who looked at me funny 5 years ago.
I know.
If I had a better memory, it
Does it
would be
ever happen that someone reminds you of a time you were upset about something and you realize that you actually are capable of getting over things?
I have never experienced that, no.
Okay,
Because I
I've
have never
definitely
gotten over anything.
I always thought I didn't, but something came up and a mutual friend of ours was like, "Wait a minute. I thought you were upset about that." And I was like, oh, "I actually got over something. I am no longer upset about that."
So is it that you were upset or they just thought that you were upset?
I had been very upset.
Okay.
Yeah, a thing had happened and it shook me really badly and I was really upset. And then, like a year later, someone was like, "Oh no, I thought you were so upset about that." And I was like, "I was, but now I'm not. I'm over it."
Hmm.
It's pretty wild. I got over a thing, Ross. It happened. One thing.
I love that you just had a whole story about a thing that we can't know about. Um,
um, I'll tell you. I'll tell you offline.
all right.
Yeah, it's
Was it me?
nothing. Mm-mm, it was not. Nope.
All right. Heather,
Ross,
you want to hear about a thing?
I do.
Okay, what are we gonna do? What do we got here? You know what? Let's do a couple of couple legal type situations. You want to hear about a
All
couple of
right, I
legal?
love
You know what?
it.
I'll do a good one, and then I'll do a like a not sure about this one.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one, the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, which this makes let me get some verbiage here just so I say this correctly. So this would make lynching a federal hate crime. Um, basically it criminalizes lynching as an offense in and of itself. This is, of course, named after Emmett Till, the 14-year-old boy from Chicago who was lynched while visiting his family in Mississippi. Tens of thousands of people, mostly, mostly all, black people.
Mm-hmm.
This became a common way to express your dissatisfaction with the fact that black people exist if you're a white person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't mean to make light of it by saying that, but there was this type of people have been trying since 1900 to outlaw lynching. The
Yeah.
last time was in 2020 when it failed. Um, so, but um, and I'd like to learn more about exactly what changed because I'm all the pieces I was seeing about this. I don't see good information about why suddenly, because after failing for well over 100 years
Right.
and failing pretty resoundingly uh, 2 years ago, um, I don't actually 120 years. So the first anti-lynching legislation was introduced in 1900. So, um,
Yeah.
the Senate actually in 2005. So in 2005, the Senate passed a resolution expressing remorse for never having passed anti-lynching legislation without passing anti-lynching legislation or through the Congress. So anyway, after the murder of George Floyd in 2020, after that point, there was
Mm-hmm.
sort of a renewed push for this, and um, seems to have sailed through, and it's on its way to the president's desk, which is again, it is both unambiguously a good thing and
Mm-hmm.
unambiguously ridiculous that it's 2022 and
Right.
we're just doing this.
Yeah. Yep. That's the thing with so many things like this where I'm like, this should have happened way sooner. It's great that it's happening. It's so important that it's happening. But this
Yeah.
should have been a century ago.
And part of the reason for and this is similar to a lot of this isn't technically a hate crime legislation. I mean, this is a very specific but but part of the reason for making some of these things federal. You might think like, oh, if I lynch somebody, isn't that a crime already? And it would be, but it's not a federal crime currently until this bill is signed. It's not a federal crime, which means that, particularly with something like lynching, where you have a history of, particular states
Mm-hmm.
with particular histories
Right.
where anti-black violence would happen and there'd be no consequences. Now, don't get me wrong, as we've talked about plenty of times, that's on some level, that's every state. But
Yes.
there are particular states where that's more of an issue. So the fact that your only recourse is on the state level when the state is not going to do anything about it is not great. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's also it's also similar to terrorism, right? Like we have a separate category for acts of terrorism than acts of individual violence, and they may look similar in the action, but the reason we treat terrorism a little bit differently than another type of crime that might be directed at an individual is an act of terrorism is seen as something that's directed at an entire group of people, and it's designed to make that group of people scared. So you're not just committing an act against a single person, you're committing an
Mm-hmm.
act against an entire group. You're trying to make them scared, you're trying to make them not go vote, you're trying to make them, leave the community, that sort of thing. So the advantage of having this on having a federal law against this is twofold. Again, one, it sort of protects from localities that don't necessarily want to do anything about it, and it expands the sort of the definition of what it is from not just a crime against an individual, but it's a crime designed to terrorize communities. So, again, good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Silly that it's 2022 and this is just now happening. And like I said, I'd like to see more of an analysis, which I have not seen, and that's sort of my fault for not digging this into this a little deeper. I'm curious about what's changed because there's so much, there's so much in Congress that has not changed.
Mm-hmm.
We see a lot of things just stalling and sitting there.
Right.
So interesting. Um, Another bit, and this is also a nice thing. I said I had one good thing, which was the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill. This one's a little futzy because it's passed the House, but I don't know what's going to happen in the Senate. So I don't know if you've heard about this. So this is the Crown Act, and
I
this
don't think I have heard about it.
this is so I love this. This is something that activists have been working on for a while now. So Crown stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair Act.
Ooh.
So so it's basically anti there's currently in federal law there's no I mean there's you can you know there are racial anti-discrimination laws. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 includes provisions about preventing discrimination against afros or
Mm-hmm.
people with afros, I guess. I mean, I guess the afros themselves aren't, you know. I guess you fire somebody with an afro, not the afro itself, but
Right. Yeah, the
um,
afro doesn't generally just walk off and leave the person still
or
employed.
show up to get a job. Although I feel like there's a really good cartoon there or something. But this includes braids, twists, locks,
Mm-hmm.
knots, all that sort of stuff. It's sort of it's the idea is sort of protecting people's ability to
Sorry, could
wear
you say that
just
again? My apologies. I couldn't hear what you said.
no, I'm not talking to you right now. So
And now we all know what
sorry,
your
everybody.
phone assistant is set to sound like.
My thinks I'm talking to him, but I'm not, because he doesn't have hair like that, or any hair, as a matter of fact, because
Because he lives
he's
in your phone.
he lives in my phone. So anyway, this is and there's a history of this. One of the things, a story that kicked this off was a woman named Chastity C. Jones in 2010, who was hired to work as a customer service representative with Catastrophe Management Solutions in Alabama. Lost her job
Mm-hmm.
because or lost the job offer when she refused a demand to cut her dreadlocks.
Mhm.
So, and that's just one story, but that's a story that sort of led into this Crown Act and the activism around that. There are a ton of stories about uh, discrimination against different hairstyles and things people are
Tons.
expected to, things you can and can't do in the in the workplace. So this is a great thing. So it passed. It passed in the House. It passed along party lines, almost strictly. I think strictly along party lines. So every Democrat voted for it, and every Republican in the House voted against it. Representative Ayanna Pressley, who's been one who's pushing for it, says, "For too long, Black girls have been discriminated against and criminalized for the hair that grows on our heads and the way we move through and show up in the world." Hair discrimination. Oh, I'm sorry. So the spokesman for the NAACP says hair discrimination is rooted in systemic racism,
Mhm.
and its purpose is to preserve white spaces.
Mhm.
Policies that prohibit natural hairstyles like afros, braids, bantu knots, and locks have been used to justify the removal of Black children from classrooms and Black
Mhm.
adults from their employment. A 2019 study conducted by the Joy Collective, the JOY Collective, said Black women were 80% more likely to feel pressure to change their hairstyles in order to fit in at the office. Um, so the so that's the good news. The bad news is, well, the bad news is that every Republican in the House of Representatives decided that people should be discrimination against people with particular hairstyles should continue to be allowed. Representative
Yeah.
Lauren Boebert, who is a generally not a fun person in
Okay.
general, I think, in any
I'm
good way.
glad you have some Republican viewpoints to present here because I'm really confused as to what kind of hatred you have in your heart to say
Oh,
like,
well,
no, Black people should not be allowed to wear their hair the way they would like to.
no,
Like,
that's the argument. I mean, she referred to it as the bad hair bill
what? What?
because black hair is
Uh,
bad. And that's the argument. That's
the,
the argument is that black hair is inappropriate and bad, and if workplaces don't want to allow it, then that should be fine. I mean, that's the argument. I mean, there's no,
so she's
you know.
just openly racist and proud of it.
Oh yes,
Is that
100%.
okay? All right, all right. I'm lucky. I don't run into a lot of people like that in my real life. So when I hear a quote from someone who's just like, "Yes, I'm racist and I think black people are bad." Please nobody isolate my voice saying that. Um,
Right, right.
you know, like it doesn't shock me, but it's just not something I'm used to hearing, I guess,
Yeah.
in my own sheltered daily life. So it's okay. She's a bad person is the reason she voted against this.
Yes.
Okay.
Um, yep.
Okay.
I guess Dove did a study related to this in 2019. Dove, the soap
Yeah, the
maker,
soap company.
um, uh, black women's hair is 3.4 any black woman's hair. So this is like any black woman with any black hairstyle. Just if you look at reactions to black women's hair,
Mhm.
it's three and a half times more likely to be perceived as unprofessional than than any given white woman's hair. Um, and
I
basically,
hate that.
so the same study found that when looking at images of hairstyles on black women and non-black women, black women's hairstyles were consistently rated lower or less ready for job performance. So people are making judgments based on job performance, just based on hair.
Of course
So,
they are.
and the woman I mentioned, the Chastity Jones in 2010. So the follow up to that story was she filed a lawsuit and lost because there's no provision for anti-discrimination. So, and that, like I said, that kicked off sort of the modern wave of activism around this idea that, oh, there is absolutely someone can, I mean, and literally, and it wasn't obscured. It wasn't, oh, she says it was about her hair, but it was really about this. There was no, it
Okay.
was, we didn't like her hair. We told her to cut it off and she didn't. So we weren't going to, treat her the same way. And then she went to court and the court said, well, that's the law that they can do that. So So there are a ton of stories about this. I think we've
Hmm.
probably talked about
Yeah.
some of them on the show, so I won't go through all of them. But um, so the so past the House, I don't. The Senate is so weird, and um, I don't know that it's going to get by the Senate. And there are Democrats in the Senate who are pretty consistently voting with Republicans. So if it becomes a party line vote, I don't know that the Democrats in the Senate who are consistently voting with Republicans are going to, there are one or two Democrats in the Senate who are consistently voting for or against, voting for racist policies, basically, or voting against anti-racist policies. So I don't know if I have a lot of hope that this would pass the Senate currently, because again, if it becomes a party line vote, the same as in the House, um, there there are a couple of Democrats who
Gotcha.
don't ever vote with the Democratic Party, which is in itself not necessarily a good or bad thing, but they're pretty consistently,
Hmm.
how they're going to vote on things. They're going to vote, so I don't know if this will pass the House. The good news is this is already the law in several states. So the build up to this going through Congress has been, this is the law in 3, 4, like a dozen states, including New York.
Okay.
And there are other states where it's sort of working through. So that's not the same as federal protection. That's not every state, but
Hmm.
there is, you know, in several states, including New York, this is already the law. So
Good. Wow.
those are the two. Those are the two sort of, I don't know, interesting sort of legal things. It's very good news about the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, except in that,
Hmm.
like, don't pat yourselves on the back too hard, America,
Right.
for waiting 122 years to decide that lynching is bad. Um, but hey, it's something.
Well, Ross, I have good news and I have bad news.
Oh, good.
The good news is NPR says we're young people.
All right.
Isn't
And NPR would say we're young people.
so? NPR says we're young people, and that makes me feel really good. The bad news is that stroke rates are increasing among young people.
Yeah.
And so I've just got a really little article about this because it struck me as interesting. And in the article, they go through the different kinds of strokes. There's the ischemic, which happens when the blood flow is blocked through an artery that delivers blood to the brain. And this is the vast majority of all strokes. Then there's
Mm-hmm.
the transient ischemic attacks, which are the little mini strokes. And the
Mm-hmm.
blood flow is only blocked for a very short period of time, 5 minutes or something. And then there are the hemorrhagic. How do you say that word?
I would
Where
say
there's a
hemorrhagic, but
hemorrhage,
I don't know if I'm right about
hemorrhagic.
that. So
Um, that's the other kind of stroke, and that's when an artery in the brain leaks blood or ruptures. None of these are great. I guess the TIAs are probably the best because they are quick and small. But says in the article that over the past 30 years, stroke incidence amongst adults 49 and younger has continued to increase in southern states in the Midwest. That's according to the American Heart Association. And rates have declined for those older than 75. And there's a representative here from Yale who says that we hope that targeted public health interventions will be considered for younger populations, particularly in the regions where stroke incidence is increasing. So they talk about some of the risk factors. One of them is diabetes, there's heart disease, obesity, smoking, and high cholesterol. And of course, stroke risk does increase with age, but are happening a lot amongst younger people. So what I thought was
mm-hmm.
really good to kind of, I guess I have these things in mind because you hear them sort of throughout your life, but they have a helpful list of signs to look for if you or someone near you is having a stroke. Because
Oh yes, I know them all, but yeah.
do you do you know the
Well,
acronym
as
B?
well as someone who not all that long ago nearly had a stroke. Yes, I do.
So did you have to memorize be fast? There's an
Well,
acronym,
I
be
mean, I guess
fast.
I wanted people around me to memorize it.
So it says be
But
familiar
yeah,
with the
no,
signs, which
it's
you
a good
are.
reminder for things to have.
Exactly. I
Yep.
mean, it doesn't honestly, I don't think it hurts to hear these even if you are like, "Yes, I know be fast."
Hmm.
But B is for balance. Watch out for a sudden loss of balance or coordination. E is for eyes. Note any vision loss in one or both eyes or double vision. F is for face. Watch for drooping on one side of the face. A is for arms. Note any note any sudden weakness in an arm or leg. Speech is the S of fast. Note any slurred speech or difficulty speaking or understanding words. And T is for time. Call 911 quickly if someone is experiencing any of these symptoms.
Yeah, and with a stroke, I mean, the key is it's that I don't know if anybody needs to be told if you identify that someone's having a stroke that you should hurry.
Yes.
But time is such a critical factor, and time is also, there's no reason to assume if someone has had a stroke, there's no reason to assume that it's not treatable. It's not, that damage can't be mitigated. But it is
Mm-hmm.
because there are different kinds of strokes, and people have I don't want to say smaller strokes, but smaller strokes, more frequently
Yeah.
than massive strokes. And with quick treatment, a lot of times those can be managed very well. Those can be managed to the point where there's no damage or no appreciable damage.
Right.
So, but it really, once you've identified the other things, once you've had the suspicion, that's a key thing. And I know, we talk about like we talk about with our healthcare system and the um all of the issues with calling 911 because you have to think about, can I afford this, can I afford that? I mean,
Right.
in the event where you feel like someone close to you is having a stroke, you you kind of got to do it.
Yeah. I think
There's
that
really,
is the
because
time.
again, the longer you wait,
Yep.
yeah, that's the time. And again, I realize that's easy to say, but the damage is only going to get worse if it's allowed to, if it has time. The more time, time damage is going to be an exponential increase. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary to think about. When I was in my 20s, I I do not know what this was, but two times, pretty close to each other. I I don't know if it was a small stroke or not, but I definitely had a thing where I was working a proofreading job at the time, and I suddenly like became unable to read, and I kind of lost control of like my arm. It kept sliding across my desk and stuff, and it was really scary. And I probably should have sought medical attention. I didn't. That wasn't smart of me, but it was really scary. And
yeah.
I've consulted with Dr. Google about what this could be. I guess along with that, it could have possibly been a stroke. I don't know. It could have also been some kind of really strange form of migraine,
Hmm.
which again, not great thing happening in my brain. Or it could have been some kind of super intense anxiety attack.
Yeah.
So I think I'll never
And there are
know, but
Yeah, and there are things that, it's the kind of thing you don't want to mess around with. And there are things that look like strokes, can look like a stroke, particularly if you're not a medical professional, and aren't.
right.
Just like there are lots of things that can look like a heart attack if you're not a medical professional,
Mm-hmm.
but aren't. But they're also the kind of things that you don't really want to mess around with.
I know. I know. I really shouldn't have, but I was very young. I didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
But so, Ross, Be fast. Balance eyes, face, arms, speech, time.
I love it.
That's all I
I
got.
love it. All right. Let us, you know what? Let's, you know what? We got a little more time. We'll talk about that. So this was
Yeah. This is what I
this
want to hear
was,
about
let
because
me
you
pull this
mentioned
up.
this before the show.
Yeah, so this was interesting. Oh shoot, and I gotta find it now because I've got too many screens open. So, just vamp for a second, Heather.
All right, I'll
And let
just
me
be
find this.
vamping away. I wish the cat were still
Uh,
vamping. Right before we started recording, he
right.
was singing a little song. It was very cute. But I think
I
he's
think I
gone to take
closed
a
my
nap
screen. I'll
now.
get it. Give me a second.
My
Here
boss is
we
just getting the
go.
thing.
Blah blah blah. Yeah,
We're
just
in no
getting the
hurry.
thing.
Yeah,
It's
just getting the
coming.
thing. It's
Okay,
coming
so
along.
this is from so this was interesting to me, and I need to look into this a little bit more, right? But so I'm gonna do this with a little caveat of like I have not dug into this beyond what this person is saying. So this is from Jesse J. Anderson, the author of an upcoming book called Refocus: A Practical Guide to Adult ADHD.
Oh.
Um, I so I just want to because I've not dug into this. Like I said, I've only got what this person is saying about this, but I thought it was interesting. So just bear that in mind. I have not done further research on this because I'm much too lazy. I thought these were interesting. So I've never been by many diagnoses of many things. I've never been diagnosed with ADHD. But this struck a nerve with me. So he says, and I'm just going to quote here a little bit. There are several types of memory challenges for people with ADHD. Most people are familiar with long-term memory and working memory, but less well known is something called prospective memory. So prospective, so not
Oh.
perspective, prospective memory. Prospective memory is essentially remembering to remember, or more specifically, remembering later to do something you plan to do, and gives examples of getting gas on the way home, calling Emma in the morning, take out the trash before I go to bed. Your prospective memory helps you to remember to take action when later, it helps you remember to take action later. You might not be surprised to hear that people with ADHD have terrible prospective memory. And then he mentions a bunch of lab studies. I found this very interesting. So, and again, he goes through a bunch of numbers with this. Quoting a lot of sources that I did not look into. So again, seems legit. I'm just throwing this out there. This is the only source I have on this. And this was interesting to me, because so I have a really good memory in general. I mean, I can remember very specific things from very specific circumstances. I'm good at Jeopardy because I remember tons of trivia. I
Yeah,
don't
you're
have a
good at
I
Trivial Pursuit too.
I'm good at Trivial Pursuit.
I'm
I
good at
don't have
cheering you on and elbowing you hard when you get the answer right.
absolutely. Um, I I have a notoriously terrible memory. Like it's something people have sort of made fun of me about, not in a mean way. I mean, I'm not saying like I've been bullied about it, but I mean, it's something Michael joke about, my friends will joke about. If putting the mail on the pass through, and I'm going to take out the mail on my way to the car. Within minutes of saying I'm going to do that, I will have completely forgotten to take out that mail. Getting gas on the way home, same thing. All those little things of all those little pieces of um, things that I plan to remember to do. I am terrible. I am terrible with those things. And again, notoriously, like it's sort of it's a joke among a lot of people who have, particularly who've had to live with me, because it's like, I'm going to go take out the trash, and I will forget to do that between like one room and another. And again, it's not, and it's always sort of confused me because I can remember very specific. I have a pretty good memory when it comes down to it. So I I thought this was fascinating, and again, this Jesse J. Anderson goes through um, all these studies, talks about how with people with ADHD, this shortcoming in this particular kind of memory um, makes it harder because chicken or the egg, I guess. Is it that it makes it harder for people with ADHD, or is that part of the pathology of ADHD, is like you have a hard time planning to do the things you're trying to do because you can't remember to do them.
Wow.
Um, and there's no sort of, um, I'd have to read more of this. And again, he provides some other information here that I've not looked into. Um, I, there's not a lot of information in what I was reading about like why this would be the case.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems to be again, I guess the discussion of having this separate type of memory that's sort of short-term memory, but a little something different as a whole other class of type of memory. Again, it really got me thinking about the way my own brain works and how this sort of resonated with me in a really interesting way, because I've never been able to like, my long-term memory is pretty good, my short-term memory is pretty good, but um again, it's like it's a joke. Like I'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to get the mail. I'm going to take the mail out right now." And between the end of that sentence and like the door, I will walk out the door without that piece of mail. Um so so I don't know, it's interesting. It resonated with
Yeah.
me in a really interesting way, and it's something I never really thought about or I never understood, but it made sense to me.
Wow. I'm now trying to think, am I good at that or bad at that or average? I think I'm probably average because quite often, if I told myself there was something that I was going to do, like there is something I'm going to do when we're done recording, I
Yeah.
haven't forgotten and I still plan to do it. And if I don't do it, it will be because I decided that it's not time to do it now. It
Mhm.
won't be that I forgot, but also it requires a few things to do. So I've already gone ahead and gotten the things out so that they're easy to grab when it's time to do the chore.
Mhm.
So now I don't know, is it that I remembered or is it because I set up a little visual reminder of like, your things that you were going to do? But I think I remember because I'm not looking at the things right now, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and I set up reminders for myself, and then I don't remember to look at the reminder,
Okay.
or I walk right past the
Yeah.
reminder. Um,
No. So my short and long-term memory, terrible. Absolutely
hmm,
shot. Swiss cheese. My prospective memory, not bad.
yeah,
Like on occasion, I'll get home and be like, oh, I meant to get gas.
yeah,
But more likely, it will be one of those things that I get in the car after the store and I go, I'm not getting gas today.
hmm.
No. And that's why it didn't get done. But it's not that I forgot. It's just because I didn't want to.
There's a really funny. He talks about a real, and he talks about a really funny. This is a really funny result of this study. So, this was a 2019 study, um, and so people with ADHD, we're able to recall memories at nearly the same accuracy as neurotypical people. Um, but there was a second part of the study where they were asked to write down a list of intentions, things they plan to do later that week, things that they'd need to remember to do. And several days after the study, they were supposed to call back to um, update on the progress of how they did with the things on the list. Um, More than half of the ADHD participants forgot to call them back, as compared to less than 20% of neurotypical subjects. So, so the researchers would have to call them back because they did not remember to call. Um,
Wow.
so,
So this does make sense because I think you have said to me, because I'll admit I sometimes joke with you. I think it's been in our skits about how you rarely return messages.
yeah.
And I think this must be it. So, like a little text from me pops in, you go, haha, neat. I'll message her back later. But then,
Oh, constantly.
is that it?
Yeah, constantly,
I
constantly.
understand.
It's weird, and I'm
Wow.
I'm not trying to offer that up as an all-purpose excuse for things, but like,
No.
but it really, like, I will see, and it's something about like a short-term
Wow.
intention for some reason, a short-term plan. Like maybe if it's something big enough, that'll stick with me. Like like, oh, I'm supposed to drive Heather to the hospital today. Like that I can usually, like, maybe if it's big enough that it makes a dent in my conscience. I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's a weird
Wow.
thing. And so, like I said, I've got to learn more about this because it's something that I guess I never thought about it enough. I just always was like, oh, I've got a bad memory, but then I don't really.
You don't.
I have a
Yeah.
perfectly good memory, if not a great memory in some ways. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Right. Oh, that is. Yeah. I like having that new kind of memory to think about.
Yeah.
What if it's something
So
you
maybe there are
do you
exercises I can do. I don't at this.
well, do you have things that you do kind of the same time or the same day every week, like a grocery day or whatever?
Um. Yeah. I mean, I guess
But that's so routine
I
you
have
probably
routine
wouldn't
things,
forget
but
it. Like, yep, Thursday's grocery day.
yeah. I mean, yeah. If it's routine stuff like that, it's yeah. But I mean, I
Yeah,
remember routine things.
interesting.
I'm not a
Interesting.
goldfish.
I kind of am. Um, no, because I was thinking about that study where everybody had to write down what they were going to do for the next week. And I'm like,
Hmm.
what would my list even look like unless I had events coming up, like parties and things like that? Because
Right.
a lot of my life is very routine. It would be like, go to work, record the show.
I almost wonder, and it almost seems like it's a block of some kind because I will even make lists of things like that, and I will sort of like look at the list and go, okay, I have taken care of this list. And then I'll look at the list later when like, oh, but did you get this thing? And I'm like, no, no, I didn't. And I'll look at the list and it's there on the list. So it's almost
Wow.
like something blocks it. It's almost like something blocks it out of my head. Cause yeah, I will literally look at a list on a piece of paper and go, yep, I have done all this.
Oh my
All
gosh.
set.
Holy
Weird.
crow.
Yeah, it's
That
very
is
bizarre.
weird. That's weird because I'm a list maker as well. But I definitely, when the items on the list have not yet been crossed off, there is a certain, the block for me is that I didn't want to do that thing. So it didn't get done.
And it might be, I mean, it might be that there are things I don't want to do. I mean, that could be it. I don't know. Like, I've never looked at it that closely. Maybe it's things I don't want to do, but I mean, some of it's stupid. Like,
I know.
it's not like, oh, I don't want to take out the mail.
I
Like maybe
know.
I don't really want to, but I'm not like, it's not something that
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to get stressed about.
Right. It's not hugely laborful or anything. No,
Hmm.
and mine is an active decision. Like, I see that on the list. That's not getting done today.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, maybe
Okay.
the things I don't want to do today, I just block out and pretend they don't exist.
I No, I'm gonna think it's something else because that makes me believe that when I send you a text and you don't reply, you look at it and you're like, I can't wait to get back to her. And
I
then
can't
in
wait.
30 seconds, you can't remember who texted you about what.
I don't know that I even had a phone.
And Space Cadets, in 30 seconds, maybe you will not remember that you are listening to The Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO LP Rochester. But if you forgot, we'll be back next week and you can listen to us again. So thanks
That's
for
true.
tuning in and stick around here on WAYO LP Rochester. So, is this Heather Zykowski fortune teller going to go more into your romancia la mia thing?
My what?
Romancia la mia. Remember romance stuff but with witches?
Huh?
Like in 2019, you did that Halloween one that I believe I retitled It's Girls' Night Witches when I got tired of your story and wrote the ending myself.
Yeah, no clue on that.
It's like I'm writing all of this stuff for you.
Well, you kind of are. Yeah.